Hey everyone, I'm going to take a look at the Netherlands pack that's been added to eFootball recently. As with all these packs, we've got 11 players in here and we've got a manager. And as always, I will put timestamps in the description for each player. So if you want to hear about any particular players, just click in the description and there'll be links to take you straight to them. So let's just jump straight in and we'll start by having a look at our manager. And we've got Ronald Koeman. So as I've been saying with all these managers that come in these team packs, you're essentially looking at this. It's a long ball counter manager. That's the long and short of it. Yes, you got a double booster, so you got 2 attributes going up by 1. It's not going to make or break anything. Sure, it's nice to have a couple go up by 1. It'll make some difference, but it's not massive. If you're farming 200% your 5-star players, great. But essentially it's this. If you want a long ball counter manager and you don't already have a good one, that's what this is. So it's a long ball counter manager. That's the top and bottom line. Apart from that, there's nothing really exciting going on here for me. I'm not really bothered about these double booster things. It doesn't excite me a great deal. It's just a question of whether you want a long ball counter manager. And as I've been saying with all these other packs with the manager in, I really felt they could have given us a double booster one, but they're obviously saving the double, sorry, not double booster, the double proficiency, we'll say. But they're saving these double proficiency managers for standalone manager packs, which cost 500 coins. So yeah, it is what it is. Essentially, a long ball counter manager is what you got here. So let's jump in and we'll go by position. We'll start from the goalie and move up the pitch. So we'll start with Bart Verbruggen. So Bart Verbruggen has a face scan. He's an attacking goalkeeper. He's about 6'4". I make that. He's pretty tall. He's got low punt. Yeah, he's got low punt. Thought he did. Let's jump over to eFootball. See how good this Bart Verbruggen card is. So we have had one previous version of Verbruggen, and that was a Player of the Week card. I'm pretty sure that was against Newcastle. And this is pretty similar, to be honest. The stats are kind of shuffled around slightly, as you'd expect. And of course, the jumping's better on this one because Player of the Week goalkeepers can't jump. But yeah, essentially, it's pretty similar to that one, really. So if you wanted that one, you didn't get it, then if you do buy this pack, you've got a card that's very similar. And obviously, you can train this one. He's had a decent boost from his GP card. They put mainly, the biggest boost is on his parrying. They put about, I think, 9 or 10 points on his parrying. But yeah, on the whole, he's been boosted pretty nicely, and it's a solid goalkeeper. You know, he's got a decent height, he's got fantastic reach for a quite a tall goalkeeper. The reflexes are great. Awareness is around about the marker. Was it for about 90 on awareness? Catching, not too bad. Could be better, but it's not too bad. And the parrying's pretty decent at 90. I reckon you could pretty easily get that parrying up to 90. To be honest, in fact, yeah, easy peasy. Look, take 1 off passing, 4 off aerial there, because we want to goalkeepers don't need to be able to jump. Which one is parrying? That one, Bosch. You got 2 points left. Stick back on aerial. It's the obvious thing to do. I wouldn't do a lot else, to be honest. I mean, you could shuffle it around if you don't think he needs as much reach, as much reflex. You could shuffle him around, but for me, 4 of those goalie stats at 90 plus, tremendous reach on a tall guy, and great reflexes as well. It's a pretty good goalkeeper, to be honest. There's not a lot more to be said. Whether he's quite on the level of the goalies, some people have. If you've been spinning for goalies like Schmeichel and Cech and so on, obviously he's not on that kind of level, but outside of that, for a kind of regular featured goalie card, this is a pretty solid one. It's a good goalkeeper card. There's not much more to say about him, really. And next we have Nathan Ake. So again, he's got a face scan. I'm pretty sure all these players have a face scan. He's an extra front man. He's always been an extra front man. We've got a bunch of versions of him. I'm pretty sure he's always had that playing style. Not got a lot of skills. That's the first thing to note. This guy does not have all the skills he needs as a centre-back. You're going to need to give him a bunch of skills if you're going to play him as a centre-back or as a left-back. But let's jump over to eFootball Hub again, and we will see how good this Nathan Ake card is. And as far as I can see, looking at previous versions, this is the best version we've had of him. It looks like a good version of him. On the slight downside, it's not had that much of a boost really from his GP card. So it's an interesting one. I guess his GP card's improved over the last couple of years, but yeah, not a spectacular boost from his GP card. But like I say, looking at previous featured versions of him, it looks like it's pretty much the best version we've had of him. And as you can see, he's pretty decent. Very strong defensively there. Decent pace for centre back. Good jump on him, although he's only 180 centimetres. And he does not have aerial superiority. So like I say, with the skills, you're going to need to do a bit of skill training on him. So aerial superiority is going to be a must if you use this guy as a centre-back, because he's not the tallest, but he does have good jumping. So if you give him aerial superiority to go at that jumping, he should be alright in the air. Physical strength is alright. It's not brilliant though. Decent stamina. Down the left, got some in the 70s here. So yeah, this is looking pretty decent in terms of the attributes, but like I say, the height's a slight concern. So you will need aerial, and outside of aerial, you're going to need a bunch of other skills. You're going to need man marking, you're going to need blocker. I think if you give him aerial superiority, man marking, blocker, I think you're all right, to be honest. He'll have all the really important centre back skills, but there's a few there that you do really desperately need to give him. In terms of shuffling his points around, It would be nice to get a bit more physical strength on him. He doesn't really have any weaknesses elsewhere. You could afford to take off from defending easily, stick it straight on aerial. Again, as I've been saying quite a lot lately, you see on physical contact there, it jumps up by 2. It's at that mark, so that 1 increase gets him up to 88, which is great. To be honest, you could just leave it there. You got 1 point spare there, stick it on goalkeeper 1, make him jump even higher because he's not the tallest. Yeah, you could do that. If you're not too bothered about centre-backs being aggressive, you could take another 3 points off defending there. You could easily get away with that. And you could probably stick them all on aerial, to be honest, and give him crazy jumping. In fact, if you go 1 lower, we can get another 3 on goalkeeper 1. There you go. 99 jumping. Fantastic. So that's definitely going to help make up for his height. I would still give him aerial superiority, to be honest. Aerial superiority, as far as I'm aware, I don't think it makes you actually jump higher. It just makes you physically stronger in the challenge when you're challenging for a header. But yeah, either way, he will need aerial superiority to help him in aerial challenges. But like you can see there, you can get his jumping up to 99, which is insane. But it does need to be insane because he's a bit short. But yeah, whether you do that, whether you go the auto allocation, it's a pretty strong centre-back card. But extra frontman playing style, as I always say, extra frontman as a centre-back. He will go wandering forward quite a bit, trying to get involved in the midfield. If you like that, great. If you don't like that, big problem. I've used extra frontman centre-backs in the past, and I've put the defensive instruction on them, and it seems to work. So you could do that if you don't like the playing style. But yeah, just something to keep in mind with the playing style. But is it outside of the playing style potentially being an issue for you? I think it's a pretty solid centre-back card. You just desperately need to give him a bunch of skills. In terms of other positions, could you make him a defensive mid? I'm just going to go straight to the auto allocation and see what it says if we change him to defensive mid. I reckon he probably could. So I always say this with defensive mids, it's entirely down to personal preference. If you don't mind these attributes on the left being in the 70s, great, because he's defensively fantastic as a defensive mid, and down the right, he's just about okay. So you might think he's pretty decent with these attributes as a defensive mid. Personally, I would sacrifice a few of his defensive attributes there, and I'll beef him up technically a bit. So I would take a few from there, leave the defensive engagement at 90. What else could you do? There's not a lot you could do, actually. I'm not sure. I don't think I personally trust this guy as a defensive mid. I personally, like as I mentioned, I like a bit more down the left. I like all my midfielders, defensive, attacking, all of them. I like them to be more comfortable on the ball, to be able to pass the ball. And he's just not great down the left. So if you're okay with these attributes being low, great. He could do a job for you as a defensive mid. But if you're like me and you like your defensive midfielders to be a bit more comfortable in possession, it might be a bit of a no-no. And he will need skills as well. 1-touch pass, 3 passing, in addition to some defensive skills. So yeah, for some people you might find he's a pretty useful defensive mid. He's certainly got the defensive strengths, but for a lot of people he might come up short in that position. And then left back, again, I'll just go with auto allocation initially, see what it says. So as a left back, down the left column, he's not too bad. I like my left backs to be in the green for some of these 80 plus, but he's not far off from most of them, except dribbling obviously, but you can get away with that. Defensively, outstanding as a fullback. Lack of pace though, that's an issue. Can we nick some points in defending, given the pace he needs to play fullback? It's a bit iffy, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. For me personally, no, that's a no from me. So even if you take some off defending, he's still strong defensively, but do you get him quick enough as a fullback? He's a bit slow as a fullback. He's a bit dodgy technically. Yes, he's physically strong, lacks balance. I don't know. Again, it's a bit of a stretch. You need 1 or 2 scores on him probably, but I don't think the attributes quite make the grade for me. So at a stretch, maybe he's a left back, maybe defensive mid, but I think essentially looking at this guy as a centre back, whether it's auto allocation, whether you do what I did to beef up his jumping and his physical strength, which I would recommend, could be a very nice centre back for you. Keep an eye on the playing style. Definitely give him some skills, but yeah, bit of a stretch is other positions, but as a centre back for me, depending on the playing style and giving him the relevant skills, could be a very nice centre back card, to be honest. And just one thing I did forget to mention there, like I say, not a massive boost from his GP card, but the one attribute that did boost quite a bit, speed. So if you wanted an Ake card with a bit more speed, that's the attribute that's given him the most boost on. But yeah, not a massive boost in his GP card, but it is a decent version of him. It's the best version we've had, and yeah, like I say, could be a very nice centre back. Now on to the second of our 3 centre-backs, and we've got Virgil. Of course, he has his face scan. He's a big, tall guy, 6'4", unwavering form. He's got all the skills for a centre-back. You know what we get with Van Dijk. We just want to know how good this version of him is. So, over to eFootball Hub. How good is he? He's pretty damn good. I've been having a quick look at the previous versions of him, and honestly I think the only one that I think is better than this one is the Showtime card that we had of him. If you look at all the other versions, obviously there's been a whole bunch of them. We've had Player of the Week versions, we've had trainable versions. There was one booster Player of the Week card not too long ago that, if you look at the overall rating, goes +1, goes one higher than this one, but I don't see a great deal of difference. The stats are obviously shuffled around a little bit. There's a few a bit higher, a few a bit lower, but overall this is around about the same level, I would say. And there's one outside the Showtime one, the highest rated trainable one was in a Premier League pack. Same overall rating. This one's a bit quicker though. It's got a bit more pace, but a bit less on the core defensive attributes. Obviously, these are trainable cards. You can shuffle them around and around about the same though. So yeah, not the best version. Showtime is the best. There's one or two others around about the same level, but this is one of the best versions of Van Dijk that we've had. It's better than most of the previous ones. So this is a good version of Van Dijk. At level 1, before you train him up, the attributes they've actually boosted from his GP card mainly are acceleration, stamina, and finishing, interestingly. But when you fully train him up on auto allocation, what you find is that he's actually also a bit better, this one, with his physical strength, with the heading, jumping, physical contact, and also his balance. But that's because they allocate more points to those attributes. So they've not actually boosted those attributes, they just choose to put the extra points from the kind of the additional levels he's got onto those at that area. But that's how he ends up, where he's boosted a bit of the physical and the balance, and obviously the attributes they have actually boosted, increased from his GP card more than any other, are the acceleration, stamina, and for whatever reason finishing. So there you go. But overall, like I say, it's one of the best versions of Van Dijk. Defensively down the middle, great, decent pace, certainly for a Van Dijk card. The jumping's at 90, heading and physical contact both in the 90s. He's very strong physically. Bounce is horrible. He's not brilliant on the ball. I feel like they've kind of done him a bit dirty there, but if they made him much better, then he'd just be ridiculous, wouldn't he? Stamina's okay. It's not always great on Van Dijk, and I think, you know, most of us would probably like stamina to be 80 plus in a centre back, but you can certainly get away with 79. And like I say, I'm sure there's been one or two previous Van Dijks where it's a good few points lower than that. So yeah, this is a good Van Dijk card. As I mentioned with his skills, he's got everything you need, all the defensive skills. I don't think there's anything missing there. If you're going to put skills on him, if anything, I'd probably just give him some passing skills, one touch pass, through passing, something like that. But there's nothing he really desperately needs down there. In terms of the attributes, likewise, not like he really needs there. You don't really need to retrain him. I would personally just probably leave him as he is. And yeah, like I say, unless you've got that Showtime card or the booster Player of the Week or the Premier League one, this is a really good version of him. It's one of the best versions of Van Dijk we've had. I don't think there's any real need to say a great deal more, because you know what you get with Van Dijk, and all you really want to know is how good he is compared to the previous ones, and it's one of the best. So yeah, it's a very, very nice centre-back card, this. And speaking of nice centre-back cards, now the third and final centre-back, and it's Micky van de Ven from Spurs. So, got his face scan, of course. Only standard form. We've got a build-up centre-back with decent selection of skills. You'd certainly need to add interception. That's one thing with Van de Ven. I found that with the version of him that I've got. Interception is a real need. Outside of that, he's got most of the skills he needs, really. You might want to give him heading. What's he missing? Acrobatic clearance as well. But interception is a big miss from his skill set there. But yeah, let's jump over to eFootball Hub. How good is this Van de Ven card? It's pretty good. So you look at the previous versions, obviously the Showtime Van de Ven card is the best version we've had of him. But outside of that, it looks like just about the best version we've had apart from the Showtime card. We've had a few Player of the Week cards around about similar level with the stats kind of shuffled around a bit. Some decent trainable ones, at least one or two. But yeah, this to me looks like it's pretty much just about the best version of Van de Ven that we've had outside of that Showtime card. It's a good version of him. Compared to his GP card, the biggest boost they put in his attributes is on stamina, jumping, and acceleration. I think that's three of the stats he needed on the most. I would have liked kicking power as well, to be honest. But certainly a bit of jumping is good. Yes, he's tall, about 6'4". We've had a few players around that height already. But jumping will still help. You look down at the jumping height, 270. It's not amazing, so it's good to have a few points extra on the jumping and acceleration as well. Yes, he's got fantastic speed. We all know that. It's that's probably the one thing about Van de Ven that makes him so interesting. He's got crazy speed for a centre-back, but the acceleration is usually pretty low. But they've boosted that, which is nice. And stamina as well is up a bit. So, yeah, one downside with Van de Ven, apart from that kicking power being a bit dodgy, and the balance as well, is he's not brilliant technically. There's been at least one Player of the Week card where they did beef up his passing and some of these technicals a bit, to be fair. So that does give that card an advantage over this one. At least one card, possibly two Player of the Week cards have done that. But yeah, on this one, he is a bit dodgy technically, but the defenses are fantastic. The speed, and now with better acceleration, means he's got fantastic pace for a centre-back. Physical strength is strong. As I mentioned with the skills, I would give him heading. 83 is not bad for heading, but it's not amazing, so I think it's worth giving him heading. Jumping's not brilliant. All in all, with aerial superiority, I think he should be decent enough in the air. He's a tall guy, physically strong, and the stamina's decent. So yeah, it's a good version of Van de Ven, this. In terms of shuffling points around, you could spare some from defending. Interestingly, when you're comparing to his GP card, you will auto-allocate this one and his GP card. The defensives have barely changed at all, but they've actually allocated 2 less points onto defending on this one. So you've got more, you know, with the extra levels, you've got a few more points to play with. They've obviously beefed them up a little bit elsewhere. But yeah, you could spare a couple from defending if you want to improve them elsewhere, but is it necessary? I don't know. If you took a couple off defending, they're still 90 plus in all of those. I think the first thing I'd do, I'd go 4 on goalkeeper 1. And then, could we get the jumping up to 80? I'm not sure we can. 2 points left. To be honest, I'd be tempted to just put him on, maybe even a lower body actually, just nudge his kicking power up a bit higher. Yeah, I mean, he can't quite get up to over 70, just like you can't get the jumping quite up to 80, but it is an improvement in some of these areas compared to other versions of Van de Ven, so yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe you might decide that's worth it, you might decide it's not, it's entirely up to you. To be honest, the auto allocation looks pretty sound. He's strong, he's tall, he's got great pace obviously, and he's very good defensively. You just need to give him 1-2 skills, and you could have a fantastic centre-back card in your hands. He does have left-back as well, but just going to the auto-allocation at left-back, as you can see, horrible on the ball. Defensively, yes, very strong, physically strong, great speed, stamina's just about on the mark, but the balance for a full-back, acceleration, these technicals, not for me. I think some people might look at this guy and think as an out-and-out defensive full-back. I know a lot of people like a kind of an auxiliary centre-back out in that full-back position. I'm not a fan of that, but if you do that, you might like him there just for the fact he's defensively really strong and he's got that speed. But like I say, those areas, technically, acceleration to an extent, and certainly the balance, for me, I wouldn't want a player in that area of the pitch with weaknesses in those areas. But you could do that if you wanted to, but I think essentially you're going to be looking at this guy as a centre-back. The vast majority of people will, and with the strengths he's got, and the fact that they boosted him a little bit in some of the areas where he did need it as well. It's one of the best versions of Van de Ven we've had so far, and it's a very interesting looking centre-back card on the whole. Now we move from centre-backs to our only full-back. There's no left-back. We've got a right-back though. It's Geertruida. Hope I've said that right. He's a defensive full-back. He's got a face scan. Standard form, but one thing to note straight away with this guy, he's not a Feyenoord anymore. He's with Leipzig in Germany, so no more live update apart from international weeks. So that's a bit of a letdown. He's going to see form pretty much all the time now. But outside of that, let's go have a look on eFootball, see how good this Geertruida card is. And it's not that brilliant. So look at it in isolation. Yeah, as a defensive fullback, pretty solid. But I say it's not that brilliant because we've got 2 previous trainable ones. One was a nominating contract card, which is marginally better than this one. And one was in some kind of, in fact, I've got it. It was in that Hullet pack, the one with Hullet, Rijkaard and Van Basten quite recently. That was better than this one as well. So this, compared to the 2 previous trainable ones, not quite so good. That's mainly due to those ones having a bit more pace and stamina, but they are slightly better, sadly. So it's a bit frustrating. There was a player of the week version of Geertruida a while back. This is better than that card, to be fair, but yeah, it's the lowest rated of the 3 trainable versions. So that's a bit frustrating, but like I say, in isolation, still a pretty solid card. Compared to his GP card, it's not a massive boost he's had. I'm going to say that about a lot of these cards. But the attributes they've boosted the most looks like stamina, defensive awareness, and aggression. So a pretty decent selection of attributes to boost on a fullback. And yeah, like I say, maybe he's not as good as the 2 previous trainables, which is frustrating, but he's got decent pace. He's physically strong. The balance isn't brilliant, but it could be worse. Stamina's great. Defensively, all in the 80s there. As a defensive fullback, I think he's got a pretty good profile. He's pretty strong, this card. Down the left, not brilliant. But I think you're going to look at this guy, and it's going to be the kind of fullback that if you like defensive fullbacks, I'm guessing you're probably not going to consider it too important, these attributes. I think most people will probably be okay with that if this is the type of fullback that you like, a real defensive fullback staying back and defending. And if you look down the skills, he's got some decent skills, but again, as with Van de Ven, no interception. It's a crucial skill on any defender, so he desperately needs interception. You might want to give him blocker as well. He's got man marking, no acrobatic clearance, flank spirit, sliding tackle. Through passing is a nice bonus to having a fullback. On most fullbacks, I would suggest you need pinpoint crossing, but on a defensive fullback, he's not going to get forward that much. His lofted pass is rubbish anyways. I wouldn't bother with pinpoint crossing. I don't think it's worth it. So I think really it's just the defensive ones, interception and blocker. I'll stick on him straight away. You might want to give him aerial superiority as well. I don't think that's too important. He's a decent height, 6'1", jumping and physical both over 80. I don't think aerial superiority is a need. He's already going to be fairly strong in the air for fullback. But certainly interception and blocker I would look to put on him. And yeah, as a defensive fullback, he looks pretty strong. If you kind of discount the fact there's been a couple of previous versions that were better than him. In terms of the allocation, I don't think I'd do a great deal. If it was a normal fullback, if it was an attacking fullback, I'll take a few points away from some of these areas like defensive, maybe a couple off his speed, and I'd beef up these technicals. But on a defensive fullback, I don't think I'd bother. He's just going to be staying back and defending. You could do that if you wanted to, but I mean, if he did, I mean, you could just nick a couple from the lower body. Maybe he's nudge the low pass at the 80, get a bit more on the ball strength. But yeah, is it worth it? I don't know. Maybe you could do that. To be honest, his acceleration he sees at the 86 mark. If you can get the acceleration up by just 1, that'll go up by 2. Maybe you'd rather do that, to be honest. And he can stick one in goalie while making jump higher. But yeah, whether you do that or whether you just stick with the auto allocation, strong defensive fullback. It's just frustrating. The previous 2 versions were better, but if you've not got one of those 2 versions, and if you want a good version of them, or if you just want another defensive fullback option, there aren't that many good defensive fullbacks in the game. It's not as common a play style as attacking fullback, so it may well be a very useful one for you to pick up. He's certainly a very decent card in that position with that playing style. And he does have another position at centre back. I don't think he's got anywhere near enough going forward to be a right midfielder. Defensive mid, actually. Should we look at that briefly? What's the auto allocation saying? Similar to Nathan Ake, really. You know, you're a bit lacking down the left-hand side. Yeah, defensively strong, physically. He could do that job, to be fair. I think for some people that could be a decent defensive mid card, actually, if you position trained him for it. He's definitely strong defensively. He's got a bit of physical strength about him. Stamina's fine. Quick for a defensive midfielder. Down the left, that's the one issue for some people. Not for everyone. For me, iffy. I would want him. I would need a few more points on the on the ball attributes. I mean, I'll just do what I would do just to see. Can we get him better on the ball? Yeah. A bit more on his passing. Yeah. To be honest, he could be decent as a defensive mid. I mean, whether you do that or whether you do what the auto allocation says, as I always say, a lot of people will be happy with this. You know, if you don't mind him being in the 70s in some of these technicals, with the strength he's got defensively and physically, athletically, could be a decent option as a defensive mid. I think one-touch pass would be needed. Again, interception crucial in any position you play this guy in, but defensive mid could be an option for you. But the other position we're going to look at, because I know from the one that I got from that hooded pack, you can make him a pretty interesting centre-back. So there you see with the auto allocation, if you make him a centre-back, straight away the defences are fantastic. Physical contact I'd like a bit more, but he's got good pace for a centre-back. Stamina's decent. Some of these in the 70s on the left here. Could be an option for you, potentially. Again, you will need interception. Aerial superiority will become very important then. But he's already got man marking, acrobatic clearance, fighting spirit, starting tackle. So he just needs a couple of skills, 2 or 3 skills there. And if you wanted to use him as a centre-back, could be pretty decent. And you see with defending it, they've gone 16. So if you were going to just nick 1 from defensive, still 90 plus in all of them. But that gives us 4 points. 1 on aerial. Can we get 1 more on aerial? Of course we can. We'll nick a couple from dexterity. They don't need those. Boom. And that goes 86 to 88 in physical contact. That might not be an elite level centre-back, but it's a pretty nice one. Defensively, he's absolutely on the money. Physical strength and jumping, not amazing, but they're at least towards 90. But he's got good pace though. Down the left, a few in the 70s. So that's an option for you. Would need a few skills for sure, but yeah, could certainly do a job as a centre-back. So yeah, in summary, as a defensive fullback, pretty solid. As a centre-back, could be very interesting. In both cases, you're going to need 1 or 2 skills at least, but it could be pretty useful. So it's frustrating he's not as good as a couple of previous trainable versions, but if you put those to one side, look at this card in isolation. Defensive right back could be a good one. Centre-back could be a good one. So could be a good card for a lot of people, this one. And next we have our first ever featured version of Jerdy Schouten. So he's an anchor man. He has a face scan. Decent height for a defensive mid. He's about 6'1". Unwavering form. Good. He's a PSV, so he will get a live update. What we're looking at skill-wise. So we're lacking through passing. We've got interception. So yeah, skill-wise, through passing. And I'll go with man marking blocker just to start off. And then you've got a couple more spaces you can fill up as you please. But yeah, 1 or 2 skills short, but he's got most of the important ones for a defensive mid. Let's have a look on eFootball Hub. How good is this Jerdy Schouten card? So he's obviously had a boost from his GP card. it's a reasonable boost, not a massive one. None of these players seem to have had a major boost from their GP cards really, but it's a reasonable boost. Most attributes went up by a few at level 1. The one attribute that's had the biggest boost is his tackling, which is great. That's one of the most important ones in the defensive mid, so that's a good choice. And he looks solid. He doesn't look amazing, but defensively pretty strong. On the left, I would say he's a little bit lacking on the ball, but he's not far off. Passing decent for a defensive mid. Pace is okay. He's not quick, but he's not too slow either. Got a bit of kicking power about him, a bit of physical strength. Balance isn't great. He's obviously going to be one of these players who's, he's reasonably tall, not got the dribbling, not got the balance, so he's going to be a little bit clunky on the ball. So be careful on the ball with him. Don't try anything crazy. Stamina's good. And yeah, like I said, with the skills, he's lacking 1 or 2, but he's got a pretty decent selection to start off with. Through passing, I think just with through passing, you certainly find he could do a job for you. I would give man marking and blocker to a defensive mid as well, but yeah, this isn't too bad a card, to be honest. It's decent. In terms of the way the points are allocated, I'd like a bit more on the ball, like I say. You could nick 1 from lower body, keep the stamina at 90 at least. You could probably afford to nick a couple off defending. Some people would prefer the auto allocation, but this is just what I would do. Bit more physical strength, get his jumping up to 80. And a bit more balance on him, maybe. No, hang on. There. Get him up to the 80 mark for ball control and tight possession. It's not quite strong defensively now, but still over 90 for tackling. Made him a bit more comfortable in possession. A bit physically stronger. Not a massive difference, like I say. You might prefer the auto allocation, but I would maybe do that. But like I say, the auto allocation is fairly strong as well. You might prefer more of these defensive attributes to be 90 plus. And yeah, 1 or 2 skills away, I think, from being a very usable defensive mid. Not an amazing one, but if you like this guy, if you're a PSV fan, it's the first feature version we've had of him, and it might not be amazing, but it's decent. We do have a few positions here. Could we move him up the pitch with a centre mid? What do we do for that? We certainly don't need as much defending. Let's just go down to 6 on defending. Keep them all 80 plus on his defensive attributes. Let's just nudge these up to 8. Yeah, that'll do it, I think. Just a bunch of 8s and then 4 and 6 down there. Yeah, he's alright. He's a centre mid. He could do a job. Through passing would become even more important as a skill. He's got 1 touch pass, weighted and low lofted. Interception. Yeah, if you play him as a centre mid, he will not have an active playing style. Anchorman will no longer be active there. He'll be playing quite neutrally as a centre mid, kind of a box to box, but it's not getting up and down quite as much as a box to box. That's what I find. But he can certainly do a job there. Defensively and physically quite strong. Technically alright, but nothing amazing. I'm not sure he's going to be a great card to have as a centre mid. Could use him as an attacking mid. He's got that position again. He won't have an active playing style. If you could yoink away all these points in defensive, how much better can we make him technically? Not amazing. Yeah, I don't know. I think even less so than centre mid. I think centre mid is just not quite as effective as DMF. Attacker mid even less so. So I'm not sure about that. But there is one other position we can look at here. Obviously, you can position trainer for wide midfield if you wanted to, because left and right midfield are adjacent to his registered position of DMF. But with his profile, I don't think anyone's going to want to do that. But we do have one more position, centre back. Can we make this guy centre back? Let's just go with the auto allocation. Yes. Hello. So, like with Geertruida, this is an interesting one. So, again, physical contact is not quite where I'd want it to be, but straight away, you look at the points on defending. 1 off that's giving us 4 points. Straight into aerial, go from 86 to 88 on physical contact. Not bad, not bad. And we've got 1 point spare. Here we go, look. 80 for low pass. So, yeah, skills notwithstanding, you have another potential sneaky centre-back. You look at 96 for tackling there. We've got some really strong defensive attributes. Yes, the physical contact's not quite what I'd want it to be, but it's not far off. Jumping a bit of an issue. He's 6'1", it's an okay height for a centre-back, but the jumping's not great, so aerial superiority would be super important. Not the quickest, but he's not the slowest either. Kicking power's alright for a centre-back, so is the balance. You can get away with that for sure. Stamina's good. These technicals down left, especially the low pass and lofted, to be fair, are nice for a centre-back. So, yeah, aerial superiority, super important. Man marking, blocker, maybe his acrobatic clearance. You need to give him a bunch of skills, but yeah. Attacking mid and centre mid, I would say no. You're not going to have a great deal of joy with this guy in those positions, but defensive mid, I think he could be pretty solid. Maybe he's 1 or 2 skills needed, but he's certainly an option as defensive mid, even if he's not amazing. But as a centre-back, if you want to position training for centre-back, give him a few skills. Could be an interesting one. Again, those skills are super important, but you've got a couple of options with this guy. He could be used with the DMF, and if you wanted another centre-back option, could be very interesting there as well. So yeah, I think a lot of people might look at this card initially and think it's not a great one and discard it, but give him a try and maybe consider him as a centre-back as well. And you might just find he gets some value out of this card. And now our next midfielder, we've got Quinten Timber, twin brother of Arsenal's fullback, Jurrien Timber. So he has a face scan, took a while for him to get that, but he's got a face scan. He's at Feyenoord in the Netherlands. He's a box-to-box centre midfielder. He can play defensive mid as well and right back on your standard form. Skill-wise, decent selection. He's got decent amount going forward, 1 touch and 3 passing important. We're lacking interception though again, so you're going to need to put interception on him. If you pick this pack up, you're going to need a lot of interception skills. But yeah, interception's a big miss there. That's the big miss. You might want to put 1 or 2 more on, but he's got the passing skills, a few skill moves as well. Let's just jump straight over to eFootball Hub. How good is this Timber card? So get him all maxed out. He's all right. He's not amazing. Passing is nice. He's got the passing skills as well. So if you look at previous versions of him, we've had a couple of Player of the Week cards. We've had a few trainable ones. The only one that really compares to this one is there's a DMF Player of the Week card of his, which is slightly higher rated overall, but it's not got as good a passing as this card. This one's got better passing, so you could make an argument for that card, the DMF Player of the Week card, but outside of that, this is pretty much the best version of him that we've had. It's a good version of Timber. Again, a reasonable boost from his GP card, but nothing amazing. A few points on most of his attributes at level 1. The one attribute that boosted the most is physical contact. So again, that's a good choice. And yeah, he's all right. He's not amazing. At first glance, he kind of looks like almost like a kind of sort of not quite so good version of Zaire Emery. Looking at the profile, reasonable on the ball, nice passing, not a great deal elsewhere. I'm not sure. That might be an outrageous claim, to be honest, but at first glance, having looked at Zaire Emery the other day, that's the kind of feeling I'm getting. But yeah, I'm thinking straight away, nudge a point off low pass, keep it at 90, put it on dribbling, get his ball control from 86 to 88. Outside of that though, would I change much? I'd like that tackling to be at 80 actually. Can we do that? Yeah, we can. We'll nick a couple of lower body. And then we'll put 1 on his defending, get the tackling up to 80, 2 points, where are they going? Aerial strength. Yeah, it's an alright card. He could do a job for a lot of people, but it's not exactly exciting me. Defensively, he's okay. On the ball, he's okay. Passing is nice. Attacking wise is a bit dodgy. That's too low for me on the box-to-box. Pace is decent on centre mid. Kicking power's alright. Bit of physical strength about him. Could be worse. Not amazing, though. And balance isn't brilliant. And stamina's alright. So, yeah. He's kind of just an alright centre midfielder, really. He's got the passing, like I say, and a few skill moves there if you like your skill moves, but defensively, I mean, sliding tackle is just about it. So you're going to need interception. You might want to put out some more defensive skills, and it depends how you use them, really. But certainly, I think with interception, you've got a decent centre mid box to box, not an amazing one. Could you use him as a DMF? What would we do as a DMF? Passing, not so important. I'll nick a couple of points off passing. Doesn't need to be as good in the ball. If I go right down there, I'm going to see how good we can make him as a defensive mid. Get his acceleration up to 80. Don't really use much on the ball. Stamina. I've lost the plot a bit. Hang on. In fact, I'm going to put the stamina back up again. Get the physical contact up to 80. Hello. I've got 1 left. Give him a bit more jumping. Or we could give him shooting, but he's playing DMF now, so I'll put it on jumping. Yeah, DMF, maybe. Again, could do a job, could be decent. He's got a bit of defending ability, a bit of physical strength, but you don't really want a player who's got a bit of this and a bit of that. You want a player who's really good in whatever position he's playing in, and he would need the skills even more as a DMF. Interception, of course, but man marking, blocker as well. So yeah, again, could be usable, could certainly do a job, but is he great? No, he's not particularly good one. If you're really desperate in any given week, he could certainly do a job as a DMF, I guess. Again, as I always say, if you're playing a box-to-box as a DMF, that will be an active playing style. He's still going to get up and down, so if you want to hold him back, you'd need the defensive instruction, but would you use him that way? Is he strong enough? Don't know. Not brilliant. Looking at his other positions, centre-back, we'll just go straight towards allocation. Nah, I don't see a sneaky centre-back in this guy. Right-back, he's already got right-back. Maybe. Hello. So he's got the speed. Stamina's fantastic. Defensively, he's okay. Bit of physical strength. Technically, right? Yeah, hello. That might be the way to use this guy, actually. That might be the best he would be for you. A right back, possibly. don't think I'd really reallocate any of these points. I don't think there's a lot of scope for beefing him up anywhere else. I don't think he really needs to. No major weakness. The dribbling's a little bit low for me on a right back, but certainly not bad. Awareness and engagement a little bit low, but the tackling's at 80, aggression in the 80s. It's got the speed, like I say. The acceleration's not brilliant, but the speed's at 90. Kicking power at 90 is fantastic. Physically reasonably strong for a fullback. Balance isn't too bad. Stamina's amazing. That could be an option. You would still need skills on him. As a fullback, decent attacking awareness for a fullback, and I think he's probably definitely looking at the profile more of an attacking fullback than a defensive one. So you might want to give him pinpoint crossing. Interception, very important. And again, if you looked at other defensive skills, maybe his man marking block would be worth putting on it if you're going to use him as a right back. Again, I don't think he's an amazing card. Most of us probably have better options as a right back, but he excites me more as a right back than he does as a midfielder. Centre mid, he's all right. DMF, maybe. Right back, I think he's definitely more usable. So you've got a few ways you could use this guy. Like with one or two of these cards, if they don't excite you straight away when you look at them with their auto allocation in their register position, he's got other ways you could use him. So that's a possibility for you. It could be a decent right back. Didn't look at attacking midfield actually. Let's see what it says for attacking midfield. So he's put less on his passing at attacking midfield than it did at centre midfield. That's strange to me, but yeah. I'd like a bit more passing on attacking mid. I'll do that for a start. He could do a job as an attacking mid. I'm just going to nudge his dexterity up actually. I want that balance at 80. Yeah, there's another option for you then. Again, not amazing, you know, fairly tidy on the ball, decent passing. He's got one touch and through passing. Attacking awareness isn't too bad. Finishing could be better, to be fair. Bit of pace for attacking mid. Yeah, you got a bunch of ways you can use this guy. I would say he's versatile. You need the position training for attacking mid, of course, but you only need to increase that by one. He's semi-proficient there. So, yeah, versatile. Got a few uses for him, but you'd need one or two skills in most positions, wherever you use him. And he's not that amazing in any position, really. I think right back is probably where he's the best, in my opinion, but only just, and he's still not brilliant there. So, could be a decent right back, could be a fairly decent midfielder, centre mid, possibly even DMF, but not an amazing card, just one that's kind of could be useful. Certainly if you've not been playing the game long, you've not got a massive squad, it could be a useful card to have, but it's not an amazing one, just a few ways where you could get some value out of him. And our next midfielder is Gravenberch from Liverpool. Plays for Liverpool now. So another box-to-box centre mid. He's had a face scan for a while now. Only standard form, unfortunately, but could be worse. Decent section skills. Through passing's missing. Apart from that, he's got everything he needs, really. So needs through passing, but box-to-box centre mid. Pretty good section skills otherwise. Let's jump over to eFootball Hub. How good is this Gravenberch card? So he is a bit better than Timber. Pretty decent card this. Not brilliant defensively. Attacking ways a bit on the low side, but you've got some very nice technical attributes here though. Again, decent athletically, pretty decent kicking power. Stamina's good. Yeah, it's one of the better versions of Gravenberch. So there's one, I think it's fairly recent. There was one of those ones that's got a kind of, the background's kind of like a dark green football or something. And that went to one higher overall, but not a massive difference. And outside of that card, this is the best version of it that we've had. So this is a good version of Gravenberch. It's a good Gravenberch card. Compared to his GB card, they put most points on speed, acceleration. So he's had a pace boost. Physical contact's had a boost as well. And it looks like they've given him a massive boost on his balance, which is quite bizarre. Not complaining at all, but they don't normally boost the attributes by much on these cards. Usually they'll on the higher rated cards, they'll put them all up by like 1 or 2, and then maybe one attribute will go up by about 4 or something like that. On the cards that aren't quite so high rated, usually they'll maybe put all the attributes up by about 3 or something like that, and then one attribute will go up by 6, something along those lines. But as far as I can see, balance has gone up by more than 10. It's had a massive boost. And the pace and physical contact as well. I don't know if that's just eFootball being out of date on his GP card or something, but yeah, some interesting boosts there. It's a very nicely boosted Gravenberch card, to be honest. It's the best boost that I've seen of any of these cards from the GP card. And yeah, it's one of the better versions of Gravenberch that we've had. It looks pretty nice. Certainly he's best on the ball. That's where he's the strongest. See with some of these technical attributes. So yeah, fairly nice centre mid, but the one downside, not to be too negative, but defensively, 75 tackling on a centre midfielder. I'd like a bit more. And when we look at the skills down there, we've got interception, aerial superiority, but yeah, defensively he's not going to be the strongest. So could we nick a few points from the left-hand side? I think so. I don't personally think you need the low pass to be more than 90. Just my opinion. He can nick one up on the ball as well. Still at 90 ball control and dribbling. Gives us 11 points. Hello. So you only need 1 point to get the physical contact up to 80. I think that's worth it. Looks a lot nicer. Can we get a tackling to 80? Oh, one away. Nick one off dexterity. The attacking awareness sucks, but I would do that. That's instantly looking like a much better card. You've got one weakness now. Attacking awareness sucks, which is a shame, but I think I could live with that on a box-to-box. It is too low, but I think it's worth it to get that tackling up to the 80. All the defense is now 80 plus. Physical contact and balance both 80 plus. Still with a good stamina, decent pace for centre mid, good kicking power, and down the left still very nice technically. Yes, he can't really shoot. Although he does have the long range shooting skill and rising shots and first time shot, to be fair, so that will compensate for the finishing attribute being a bit dodgy. It's just that attacking awareness really. So if you can live with that, I think that's a pretty tidy looking centre mid, to be honest. You could use him as a defensive mid. I wonder how good he's going to be defensive mid. Let's see what the auto allocation says. Not bad. I don't think I'll change an awful lot there. Obviously most points are on his defending. Yeah, as a defensive mid, I think that's the kind of defensive mid where you'd have him in a kind of double pivot. You'd have at least one anchorman or destroyer alongside him who's really strong defensively, and then you'd have this guy doing a bit of everything. Whether he'd be as effective like that as he would be as a more of an out-and-out centre mid box-to-box with the build I just did there, which wasn't a million miles from the auto allocation, but obviously beefed him up defensively. I don't know. I think with the abilities he's got on the ball, I would prefer him the way he was and just make sure he got one or two other midfielders doing the defensive work. But that is an option. You can make him a bit of an all-rounder as a DMF. Again, box-to-box playing style, he's still going to get up and down the pitch a lot from DMF, so keep an eye on that. But yeah, about attacking midfield, that's the other position he's got. Again, we'll just see what the auto allocation says first. Yeah, maybe. So we don't need anything on defending. I've taken all the points from there. Good. We don't need that much on the dribbling. Let's just see how good can we make him as an attacking mid. My main concern is the dexterity. They have beefed that up a bit, to be fair. Let's just get his speed up to 80. Got 4 points left. One more dexterity, surely. And we're not far away from getting 80 balance, or 90 balance, sorry. Can we spare the points from anywhere? Not really. I mean, you don't need pace on him, I guess. Take that one back from low body, you can get him to 90 balance. That could be pretty interesting as an attacking mid, you know. He's a tall guy, he's 6'3", but he's got very good technicals there on the ball and his passing, balance at 90. He's reasonably physically strong for an attacking midfielder. He's got the shooting skills, he's got that finishing up to 70 now. You would need through passing, but he's got one touch pass, get outside curl, low lofted. Maybe he's giving weighted pass as well as through passing. But as an attacking midfielder, could certainly do a job. That's an interesting one. Interesting option. You'd need to position train him, but he's semi-proficient there, so you only need to increase that by 1. So you might get that in 1 position train if you're lucky. Or it might take you 100. That's the way position trainers work. They're awful, but you could do that. And that is an option for you. You could position train him for wide midfield if you wanted. Could you make him a decent wide midfielder? Let's have a quick look at that. He's not bad, actually. Reasonable pace. Still good on the ball there. Very nice passing for a wide man. That's an option for you as well. I don't know how many people would look at this guy and think, yeah, I'll make him into a winger. But you've got that option. But yeah, like I say, you've got a few ways you could build this guy. You know, you've got a couple of box-to-box in here. Timber I wasn't too impressed with. I'm not saying Timber's a bad card by any means, but I think this guy's better. Certainly with some of these technicals in the 90s and the way I built him. Just to go back to that, I think I'll leave it on that because I think the way I built him is the way that I would personally use him. Getting that tackling up to 80 and physical contact, yeah, I think that's what I did, isn't it? Something like that. Yeah, needs through passing, but if you stuck through passing on this guy with the rest of the skills he's got, obviously you can build him how you like, but for me personally, to build him like this, technically very nice. Yes, the attacking awareness sucks, but defensively you got him up to the 80 plus and all of these. Physical and balance both 80 plus, stamina, decent pace, kicking power. That's a pretty decent centre midfielder for me as a box-to-box and all-rounder. Pretty nice looking card. Given through passing, I think it could be a nice one. Like I say, you can build him how you want, but you've got a few ways you could use him. You could make him a defensive mid. You could well make him a pretty nice attacking mid or even a wide mid if you wanted. But as a centre midfielder, certainly, I think it's a pretty nice option, that. So if you're a Gravenberch fan, a Liverpool fan, it's one of the better versions we've had of him. It's a pretty tight looking card, that. You've got a few ways you could use him. He does need through passing, but yeah, he's a pretty solid midfielder, that. And now we're on to our forwards. Got a few forwards to look at. And we'll start with Donyell Malen, former Arsenal youth player, if you didn't know. So, got a face scan. We got a roaming flank, wide forward. Only standard form, and he plays for Dortmund. So again, as with Geertruida, no live update. He's going to be stuck on C form pretty much all the time unless he gets some good form in an international week. So that's a bit of a downer, but we'll see how good he is. Let's look at his skills quickly first. So a few skill moves for you. Long range curler, rising shot, long range shooting, acrobatic finishing, first time shot. Got a bunch of shooting skills. That's great, especially if you play him on the left because he's right footed. Outside curler though, so yeah. Is he 2-footed? Ish, not really. He's got outside curler though, and he's a super sub. Interesting one then. So yeah, can play both sides, can play centre forward. He's all about shooting, this guy. So let's have a look how good he is. We'll jump over to eFootball Hub. Just finding him on eFootball Hub. Where is he? There he is. Bosh, max him out, train him up. How good is he? Decent. So compared to other versions of Malen, we've had a player of the week. This is better than the player of the week version. There's a couple of trainable versions we've had as well. This one's kind of slightly better than one, slightly worse than the other. So it's kind of a good version, not the best version. One interesting thing though, compared to his GP card, again, it's not a massive boost he's had from his GP card, but the one attribute they put the biggest boost on is his finishing. And I think for that reason more than any, if you train all the Malen cards as a centre forward, this is the best. So it's a good version of him in general, but if you're going to use him as a centre forward, this is actually the best version of him that we've had because of that finishing boost that he's had, because they put a bunch of points on that compared to his GP card. So as a wide forward, great pace, balance is okay, decent physical strength for a winger. That's not bad for a wide forward. Decent kicking power, stamina's kind of all right. We'll probably need subbing off later on. It could be worse. On the ball, good dribbling, ball control's all right. Tight possession, not too bad. Could be better. Good attacking awareness. Passing's dodgy. That's one thing to be careful with. So you can see with the profile he's got with the pace, dribbling, finishing. That's what he wants to do. He wants to get on the ball. He wants to run up defenders. He wants to shoot and score goals. He doesn't really want to pass the ball because he can't pass and he's not got any skills to back up his passing. So I would recommend giving him one-touch pass, through passing, just to compensate for the fact his passing attributes are low. But certainly when it comes to finishing, no problem at all there. And they've only put 4 on his shooting, so he starts at 80 for finishing at level 1 when he's fully boosted. So that's good. He can certainly score goals for you. He's going to be good on the ball with the pace, good attacking awareness as well. He's a roaming flank, so when you play him as a wide forward, he's going to be drifting around, taking out some good positions. Not quite as direct as a prolific winger, but just they can be quite cute with their movement, roaming flanks. I do like that playing style. I use wide midfielders, but it's active there as well. I do like the way they move across the pitch and get into good areas. So yeah, as a wide forward, could be an interesting one. If you like this kind of wide forward with the pace, the dribbling, obviously got a few skill moves there. Yeah, it's probably a bunch of skill moves that you could put on him as well as that if you like to play that way. So it could be a decent one. Not amazing, that tight possession and balance could be a bit higher. Obviously, you could do it being able to pass, but with the strengths he's got, if that profile suits you, could be a fun one to use. And super sub as well, which is always good. But this guy can also be, as I mentioned, a centre forward. Let's just see what the auto allocation says for centre forward. So yeah, again, not bad. So not quite at the 90 mark on the awareness or the finishing, but we're right just below at 89 on both of those. For a centre forward, he's all right on the ball. It's certainly not bad. He's going to be playing without an active playing style as a centre forward. If you don't like that, then obviously you probably won't be looking at this guy as a centre forward. But personally, I don't think that's an issue. I don't think centre forwards without an active playing style are a problem at all. I'd say if anything, they probably play most like a fox in the box. They're quite neutral with their movement, but they will make attacking runs, and his attacking awareness is good enough. But the pace is great though as a centre forward. Speed's great, 93. Acceleration, 98. Kicking power is decent enough. Balance is pretty good at 89. Bit of physical strength again as a centre forward. Do you need that? You could take those 4 points away. I want to see if we can get the awareness and finishing up to 90. Certainly the finishing we can. Dexterity is already at 12 though, so the next increase there is going to take 4 points. Can you get the awareness up to 90? I mean, you'd have to basically take 2 of lower body. You can't really afford to take the points from elsewhere. So you can do that. That frees 1, I'll put it on passing. So if you really want those 2 awareness and finishing up to 90, you get the balance up to 90 with it. You get the acceleration up to 99. You can certainly do that. Is it worth taking a couple off lower body? I think you can afford to. You lose a bit off the, not just speed, but kicking power. So some might not fancy doing that. But yeah, as a pacey centre forward with the awareness and the finishing, could be a very decent option. And remember, he is a super sub and he's got all the shooting skills for a centre forward. So you've got an option there. Whether you do what I just did with the dexterity or you spare those points and give him a bit back on his speed, that's obviously up to you. Where is it? There you go. up to you. You get a bit more kicking power that way as well. So you got options. In fact, you could just get the lower body a bit higher, because that kicking power goes 86 to 88. You're at that mark. But yeah, entirely up to you. Different ways you can use this guy. But as a wide forward, the pace, the ability on the ball, certainly the ability to shoot, and as a super sub, could be a useful one to pick up. And it's one of the better versions of Malen that we've had. As a centre forward, it's the best version of Malen that we've had. And it could be a very interesting option there again, especially with being a super sub. But with the pace, you can get the awareness and finishing either close to 90 or even get them both right up to 90. Could be a decent option. So yeah, it's not an amazing card, certainly not an elite level one, but a couple ways you can use him. Out wide, cutting in off the left flank as an inverted winger could be very interesting, could be very useful, either starting or off the bench. Centre forward could be another option for you as well. So yeah, another card that might not be amazing, but a couple of ways you can use him, and I think for a lot of people, it could give you pretty good value. It's a decent card, that. And on to our centre forwards. We've got two centre forwards, and we're going to start with Cody Gakpo from Liverpool. Deep lying forward this time. He's got a face scan, he's had that a while now. Unwavering form, that's great. Although he's on D at the moment, but I'm sure that's just temporary. When did he get D form? I thought he'd been playing well. Anyways, unwavering form, deep lying forward, Gakpo, skills, decent, but he's not got a first time shot. As a deep lying forward, you're going to need long range shooting actually. One touch pass would be nice as well. So yeah, first time shot, one touch pass, long range shooting. I'll start on those. And is he 2-footed ish? Maybe he's outside curler as well, but those are the skills I'll start with. But let's jump over to eFootball Hub and we'll see how good this Gakpo card is. It's decent. So again, this is one of these cards where you're looking at it and you've got to look at that playing style. Deep lying forward. You play this guy up front, he's going to be dropping deep. He wants to get involved in the build up. He'll be dropping, you know, outside the area and getting on the ball. You need to be able to pass the ball. Yes, he's got through passing, which is important, and weighted pass, which is nice, but those passing attributes suck. They've not put any points on them though, so can we retrain and make him better? Where are you going to get the points? Finishing's at 85. I wouldn't go much lower than that on any kind of centre forward. On the ball, you need him to be good in the ball as a deep line forward, so I wouldn't want to take points away from there. You've got 4 in aerial, you could take him from there. It's a shame when you've got 80 physical contact. It's nice to hit that mark, but I take those 4. I wouldn't want to take much off his lower body. There's not many points on there. Dexterity, you don't want to lose too much awareness, but maybe it's dexterity. I don't know. How good can we get that passing? Maybe you could just do something like that. And he could be decent deep line forward, but not amazing. Just looking at other versions of him, he's not that great of a version compared to other versions. We've had a couple of Player of the Week ones. One was a World Cup Player of the Week. One was a National Week when he was playing for the Netherlands. Both of those pretty similar overall, but the stats kind of shuffled around a little bit compared to this one. We've had a bunch of trainable versions, and a number of those have been better than this one. Some of them are left wing, some of them are centre forward. He's usually a prolific winger in the past, but he's been deep lying forward for a while now. So most of the previous cards have been deep lying forward or prolific winger. There was a cross specialist version of him, and there was one goal poacher version as well. But both of those were quite a while ago, and neither of them are particularly good. This is a much better card than those two. But yeah, compared to most of the previous ones, it's either similar or not quite as good. So it's not a great version of Gakpo. He's not an amazing boost from his GP card either. I've said that about a lot of these cards. Looking at the stats that I have boosted at level 1, the biggest boost seems to be kicking power, physical contact and balance. That's about it. So yeah, not bad attributes to boost, but yeah, just looking at the attributes in isolation, he's not amazing. Is he a bad card? No, he's not bad. He might not be one of the best versions of him that we've had. And he's not a bad card, but it's not an amazing one. You know, he's around about the level he just about needs to be as a centre forward, deep line forward, but just doesn't really excel anywhere. Yeah, the pace is decent, the acceleration certainly, good kicking power, but down here, yes, it's nice to have a bit of physical strength on the centre forward, but the balance isn't amazing. He's not amazing on the ball. You've had to put a bunch of points onto his passing there, which means we've lost points from elsewhere, and his passing still isn't brilliant, albeit he's got through passing and his skills. Awareness and finishing mid-80s, deep line forward, I think that's okay, but I still like it to be a bit higher. So yeah, it's a decent card, just doesn't look too amazing as a centre forward. You can play him on the left. Can we play him as a wide forward? Let's just see it. We'll go straight towards one occasion. What does it tell us? Okay, so that's a bit more interesting to me. So if you play him as a wide forward on the left, no active playing style. Again, that might be an issue for you. For me, it's not. I think it's fine. Certainly looking at the attributes, he's a lot more interesting to me as a left wing forward, as a centre forward. I would still give him first time shot, but we've got long range curler. That's one of the most important ones on a wide forward. So as a right footer on that left flank, He's been scoring one or two like that in real life recently. He's got one of the most important skills there, through passing. pinpoint crossing as well, if he kind of cuts back and puts an in-swinging cross in. So yeah, he's got most of the skills he needs really as a wide forward. I would still give him one-touch pass, first-time shot, maybe the outside curler, but yeah, he looks a lot more interesting to me as a wide forward, I've got to say. I don't think I'll do an awful lot with the way these points are allocated. The finishing's fine for a wide forward at 82. He's got a little bit of curl about him, certainly got some kicking power, decent pace. The balance could be higher actually, but it is what it is. He's got some physical strength, which kind of compensates in a way for that. Quite a tall guy as well, so I'm not sure how smooth, how fluid he's going to feel on the ball, but certainly the on-the-ball attributes are pretty strong. 90 for ball control and dribbling. He's just below that tight possession. Awareness is good. Passing could be better, but it could be worse. He's got through passing. So, yeah, as a centre forward, he's not a bad card, but he doesn't really excite me. I don't think he's particularly amazing as a deep line forward playing as a centre forward. Wide left, though, I think that might be where probably a lot of people would like to use this guy, because he's got a bit of pace, got a bit of technical ability on the ball there with the finishing, good awareness. Yes, he could be better with the passing, could have a bit more balance, but with some pretty good skills there and some pretty decent attributes, I think wide left could be probably for me the where you're going to get the most value out of him. So it's not one of the best versions of Gakpo that we've had, or Hackpo, however you say it. I can never make my mind up. I think it's Hackpo though. But yeah, it is a good card. It's just, I think if you like this guy, if you've got a good version already, then you might not really need this card. But if you've not got a good version, you want one, it's not a bad card at all. He could certainly do a job as a centre forward. He needs one or two skills. But wide forward, I think you get more value from him. I think he could be pretty useful there. So a couple of ways you could use him. It is certainly a decent card. It's just not the most exciting version we've had of him. But certainly if you want a good version of him, it could be a nice card to pick up. And lastly, we have Brian Brobbey from Ajax. So he got a face scan not too long ago. He's a goal poacher centre forward. Standard form. Another one on D at the moment. Skill-wise, not too many skills. We got most of the important ones. Got first-time shot, heading, acrobatic finishing, heel trick's a nice one to have, one-touch pass, a nice bonus, and we've got another super sub, always nice. Let's jump over to eFootball Hub. How good is this Brobbey card? Where are we? Here we are. So let's get all maxed out. So we've had a few versions of Brobbey. We've had 3 trainable ones. There was one from an Ajax pack ages ago. That's not so great. It's not a great card. It's one from a recent, I think it was in the Ruud Gullit, that Dutch legend pack with Gullit, Rijkaard and Van Basten. That version is pretty similar to this one. And there's one in some kind of pay to win legend box. I think it was Young Stars or something. That's the best one. That is better than this one. So this isn't the best Brobbey, but apart from the best one, it's certainly similar to the one in that Gullit pack. So it's a good version of him. He's had a reasonable boost from his GP card, the biggest boost on his tight possession. Probably needed that, so that's good. If you max out his GP card and auto allocate it and look at it next to this one, the technicals are pretty similar, but that's because they've allocated more points on his technicals on his GP card. So you could kind of reduce the dexterity on this one where he's been boosted and match it up to the GP card, and then you could boost up the technicals in this one, make them better. So overall it is a decent boost from his GP card. Looking at it in isolation, the first thing I'm looking at on a centre forward, yes, he's got decent pace there, pretty good to be fair, and the awareness is great at 93, but finishing only 85, I'd like that to be higher. So yeah, it's going to be a question of can we spare the points from elsewhere to get that finishing up a bit. I think that is important, but he's not brilliant on the ball. Could do with beefing up on the ball a bit as well. Some people disagree on a goal poacher with some pace. You know, you're going to get him behind the defence and just put the ball away, take chances. You could argue that's not important. If it's not important for you, then great. We'll try just beefing up his finishing alone first, and on that basis, but then we'll see if we can get him better on the ball as well. So if we nick a few off dexterity, still 90 for awareness and acceleration, lost a bit of balance, but still physically strong there. Let's just try just nicking one from aerial. Still at 90 physical contact. So where does that get the shooting? We can easily get the finishing up to 88. If we want to get to 90, we need another 2 points. Maybe nick one for lower body. The kicking power's not brilliant, but if you really want that finishing at 90, then you could do that. I think that would probably be the way to do it. I did say I'd try and make him better on the ball as well, but to be honest, we put so many points on finishing from elsewhere, there aren't really enough points to do that as well. So I think the only way to make him better on the ball would be to just nick a couple back from shooting, leave him at 88 there. Yeah, just do that, to be honest. And then you can get him up to the 80 mile ball control, 82 dribbling, almost 80 tight possession. That might be a better build all round, to be honest, more of a well-rounded build. He's certainly got that physical strength with his nut, which is nice. He's not the tallest. He's not got aero superiority, and his jumping's not amazing. So he's not going to be dominant in the air, but he's physically strong. So yes, his balance isn't brilliant, but for holding off defenders, that's great on a goal poacher. You don't often see goal poachers who are that physically strong, so that is good. We'll give him credit for that, where it's certainly due. And the awareness and the acceleration at 90 is great, and that's after taking a few points away from his dexterity as well. Speed 88, I'd like it to be a bit higher, but I don't think you can complain too much. I think overall his profile as a centre-forward goal poacher is decent. I don't think he's amazing, because you are having to scrimp a few points from certain areas to kind of balance him out a bit. I'd like this, in an ideal world, the speed to be at 90, the balance to be up towards 90, a bit better on the ball, and finishing likewise up to 90. But he's got qualities there. He's got the pace and that physical strength. Like I say, that's one thing with this guy that makes him a little bit different to a lot of pacey goal poachers. And the awareness and finishing, sure, they're not both at 90. You can get them both to 90 if you sacrifice points from elsewhere, but they're both at least decent. Certainly awareness. So yeah, overall, he's got some of the core skills you need in the centre forward there. Decent selection. You can add a few in there. Maybe his long range curler. Maybe his aero superiority. But he's got most of the important ones. And again, he's a super sub. As a pacey goal poacher to throw him on second half when you need a goal. Bit of physical strength as a bonus there. Yeah, decent one. I don't think he's an amazing card. And like I say, there is one version of him previously that's a bit better than this one. But if you get in this pack and you pick this guy up, certainly as a centre forward option, you could do worse. I don't think he's certainly not an elite level centre forward by any means, but pacey goal poacher, a bit of physical strength about him, super sub. It's certainly a lot to be said for him. Not amazing, but it could be a pretty decent one for a lot of people, this guy. So there is your Netherlands pack. To be honest, looking at this pack, it's a similar one to most of these packs we've been getting. It's been mainly partner clubs. It's quite strange they've just suddenly given us a national team on. I'm not complaining by any means, but I think we were mostly all expecting really that we were just going to keep getting Barcelona, AC Milan, all the other partner clubs. But for whatever reason, we've got this national team one from the Netherlands. And yeah, like I say, it's a similar deal to the previous ones. It's decent. It's not amazing. Yes, you've got a good Van Dijk, good Van der Ven. Outside of that, you've got a bunch of cards that are decent, to be fair. There are no major duds in here. Even if you looked at maybe Timber and Schouten as arguably being the worst in the pack, they're not bad cards by any means. Certainly, you can make a sneaky centre back out of Schouten. You could maybe use Timber as a right back, possibly. But yeah, you got a lot of cards in here that are certainly very usable. Koeman, like I say, is essentially a long ball counter manager. Yes, he's a double booster and all the rest, but it's just a long ball counter manager at the end of the day. So if you need a long ball counter manager, if you like to look at some of these cards, could be a good pack for you to pick up. But like I say, it's not an amazing one. It's not one that I don't think many people who've been playing the game for quite a while now are going to look at this pack and think it's going to be great value for them, because there aren't that many amazing cards in there. I think these packs are mainly aimed at people who are quite new to the game, and for people like that, it could be pretty good value. One thing with this pack as well is that if you've got some of the legends like Gullit, Van Basten, Rijkaard, Davids, you might look at this pack and think this would be a great way to pad out your Netherlands squad when we get the national team challenge. So that's one thing you might want to consider. But yeah, like I say, I don't think it's an amazing pack. I think for most people who've got a lot of, been playing the game well, got strong squads by now, I don't think it's that amazing. I don't think it's that exciting, but there are certainly good cards in there. I think they're all at least decent. One or two not that exciting maybes, but Geertruida, right back or centre back could be pretty good. Pretty good goalkeeper there. You've got a few attacking options, Gakpo, Malen, Brobbey. Maybe none of those are elite cards by any means, but they could certainly all do a job for you. Gravenberch, pretty solid centre mid. Ake could be a strong centre back, needs some skills. Put interception on Van der Ven. You've got a very nice Van der Ven card, and of course Van Dijk, one of the better Van Dijks. A lot of value to be had from him. Great centre back card. So yeah, maybe not an amazing pack, but I think it's a decent one. So I'm never going to tell you whether you should or shouldn't buy a pack or spin a pack or whatever. It's entirely down to you. It depends on what options you've got, what emotional attachment you've got to these players. Obviously, if you're Dutch, you're automatically going to have some degree of interest in this, but just depends on your situation. Maybe it's a good pack for you, maybe it's not, but hopefully I've helped you to make that decision for yourself. So yeah, hopefully you found this video useful. Thank you for watching as always. I don't know when the next video or stream will be. Hopefully there'll be a stream at least over the next few days, but yeah, jump into the Discord. I'll update everyone there if there's going to be a stream, and yeah, at the latest there'll be Player of the Week next week, hopefully, unless it's an encore one again, but we'll see. But yeah, either way, whether it's a video or stream, I will be seeing you soon. So cheers for watching again. I'll be seeing you soon. Take it easy.